They say our soil is dying. They flood us with images, cracked ground, failing crops, grim headlines. But after 30 years in the garden, I've learned something different. Soil isn't dead. It's speaking. Every weed, worm, and wilt is a message. Every handful of dirt holds a story of healing. What if we stopped fearing the soil and started listening to it? This isn't about doom. It's about hope, healing, and hands in the earth. Because beneath the surface, life is waiting to grow again. Stick around, because the answers aren't just scientific. They're spiritual, simple, and right beneath your feet. My name's Harold. I'm 72 years old. Every morning, before the sun's too hot, I step into my little backyard garden, coffee in one hand, spade in the other. It's not fancy, just a few rows of tomatoes, some greens, herbs, and the same old soil I've worked for over 30 years. But that soil, it's taught me more than any book or gardening show ever could. You see, they say our soil is dying. They flash cracked earth and headlines full of panic. But when you spend decades with your hands in the dirt, you learn something different. Soil isn't dying, it's talking. When my tomatoes turn yellow, the soil is telling me it needs balance. When earthworms show up, it's saying, thanks, keep going. When it smells rich after rain, I know it's alive and well. Most folks don't realize the soil is like an old friend. It remembers, it responds. Give it compost, and it gives you harvest. Give it care, and it rewards you with life. I'm not a scientist, just a man who listens. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. The soil isn't your enemy, it's your partner. Treat it with kindness, and it will surprise you with resilience. So before you panic over the next scary headline, try this. Bend down, scoop a handful, smell it. That smell, that's life, that's hope, and it's not going anywhere, as long as we keep listening. The soil isn't dead, it's starving, and it's time we stop treating it like dirt. You know what breaks my heart? Watching folks do everything right in their garden, planting at the right time, watering just enough, and still wondering why their plants look weak, pale, or just don't grow. The truth? It's not the plants that are the problem. It's the soil. And not because it's dead, but because it's starving. The real problem? We treat soil like dirt. Somewhere along the way, we forgot that soil is alive. Not just dirt, but a living, breathing ecosystem full of bacteria, fungi, worms, beetles, and microbes. But modern gardening and farming? We've turned soil into a factory floor. We strip it bare. We till it until it can't hold water. We spray chemicals that kill everything. Not just the pests, but the helpers too. We feed the plant, but we forget the life beneath it. And slowly, the soil gets quiet. No worms, no fungi, no rich, earthy smell after rain. Just silence. That's not death. That's starvation. Healthy soil breathes. It eats. It sleeps. Think of your garden like a body. Plants are like the skin and hair, what you see. But the soil? That's the gut. It needs nourishment, rest, and care to keep everything else healthy. Healthy soil doesn't just hold your plant. It feeds it. It regulates moisture. It balances nutrients. It even protects roots from disease, all through the invisible magic of microbes and organic matter. Senior-friendly tip number 1. Feed your soil, not just your plants. You don't need fancy products or complicated systems. Just give back what nature gave you. Compost, kitchen scraps, garden waste, and old veggies turn into black gold. Add a little each season. Mulch, wood chips, straw, or even dried grass protect soil from sun, wind, and water loss while feeding the life underneath. Leaf litter, don't rake those fall leaves away. Pile them on top of garden beds and let the worms do the rest. These things might look messy to the untrained eye, but to the soil, it's a feast. You're not too old to garden smarter. I'm 72, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Gardening isn't about control, it's about partnership. When I stopped fighting my soil and started feeding it, everything changed. More tomatoes, less pests, healthier plants, happier mornings. So don't be discouraged by what you hear on the news. Soil isn't gone. It's just hungry, and it's waiting for someone like you to listen, care, and nourish it back to life. Next time you walk into your garden, kneel down and scoop up a bit of earth. Smell it. Feel it. You're holding something alive, something ancient, something that's not dead, just waiting to be fed. My 3-ingredient soil revival recipe. Simple, free, and it brought dead dirt back to life. Let me tell you something most people won't. You don't need fancy fertilizers or expensive soil mixes to revive your garden. I've brought back soil that was harder than concrete. So dry and cracked you couldn't press a finger in it. No tilling, no big budget. Just 3 everyday things. Kitchen scraps, old leaves, cardboard. But Harold, can it really be that simple? Yes, because the secret to healthy soil isn't in the store. It's in the cycle of life. Nature never wastes anything, and neither should we. Here's how I did it, and how you can too. 1. Kitchen scraps. Banana peels, apple cores, wilted lettuce, potato peels, all those leftovers you usually toss? They're pure gold for your soil. Chop them small and bury them just a few inches into your garden beds. In a few weeks, worms and microbes will turn them into rich, dark compost right in the ground. 2. Old leaves. That pile of leaves most folks burn or bag up. It's better than fertilizer. Spread them thick on your garden like a blanket. They hold moisture, protect against weeds, and slowly break down to feed the soil. Leaves don't just disappear, they become life. 3. Cardboard. Don't throw away those delivery boxes. Tear off any tape, soak the cardboard, and lay it right over bare soil. It smothers weeds, traps moisture, and when worms chew through it, it becomes food for the soil web. It may not be pretty, but what's happening underneath is pure magic. Senior-friendly tip number 2. Use what you already have. Eggshells add calcium. Banana peels bring potassium. Even used coffee grounds help feed the microbes your plants depend on. Don't overthink it. Just feed your soil like you'd feed a friend. But does it really work? I remember one patch in my backyard I almost gave up on. Nothing grew. The ground was hard, dry, and lifeless. But I stayed patient. Every week, I buried some scraps. I covered it with leaves and cardboard. 2 seasons later, that same patch gave me the biggest tomato harvest I've ever had. All from leftovers and trash most folks throw away. What's your go-to soil booster? Drop it in the comments. Your tip might save someone's garden this season. You don't need to be strong or rich or young to grow good soil. You just need to be kind to it. Start small, stay consistent, and before long, you'll feel the earth waking up under your feet. Plants talk, soil listens. Because a healthy garden is really just a conversation. Let me tell you something after 30 years in the garden. Plants don't lie. They may not speak in words, but they're always telling you something, and what they say can change everything. A droopy tomato plant? That's not laziness. It's your plant saying, I'm drowning here. Yellow leaves? I'm hungry. Something's missing. Spots, stunted growth, brittle stems. These are whispers from your plants. But here's the beautiful part. Your soil is listening, and when the soil is alive, it responds. Every plant tells you how the soil feels. That's the wisdom I've come to trust more than any gardening book. Your plant is a mirror of the ground beneath it. When the soil is too dry, the plant wilts. When it's too compacted, roots stay shallow. When it lacks nutrients, the plant loses its color, its energy, its will to grow. But when your soil is alive, when it's rich with compost, full of worms, holding moisture just right, everything stands a little taller. The stems are stronger. The colors are deeper. The flowers bloom with pride. You don't need fancy tools. You just need to notice. You don't need to send your soil off to a lab. You don't need gadgets or apps. You already have what you need. Your eyes, your nose, your hands. Senior-friendly tip number 3. Trust your senses. Look at the soil. Is it dark and crumbly or pale and dusty? Smell it. Healthy soil smells rich, like fresh rain or a forest floor. Touch it. Does it hold together when moist, or fall apart like sand? Use the same instincts you'd use for bread dough or soup. Not too dry, not too wet, and always full of life. Your garden doesn't need perfection. It needs attention. A real moment from my garden. I once had a bed of green beans that just wouldn't grow. I tried watering more, then less. Still no luck. Then I bent down, scooped up the soil, and smelled it. Nothing. No smell at all. Just dust. I realized the life had gone out of it. So I added compost, mulched it thick with old straw, and walked away. A few weeks later, the beans stood proud, like they were finally being heard. Listening brings results and peace. There's something deeply comforting about tuning into your plants. They don't rush you. They don't judge. They just tell the truth. And when you listen, you get more than just better tomatoes. You get calm mornings, gentle routines, a sense that you're doing something good. even if it's just in your little corner of the world. So next time you see a yellow leaf or a sagging stem, don't panic. Just listen. The plant is talking. The soil is listening. And together, you can make things grow. When I almost gave up, the year the garden failed and taught me everything. There was a year. I still remember it like it was yesterday. The tomatoes didn't sprout. The beans came up, then withered. Even the marigolds, my old reliable friends, looked tired. My hands ached from digging. My back complained more than usual. And I found myself standing in the middle of that patch of dry, stubborn soil thinking, maybe it's time to stop. I'd spent decades gardening, growing, harvesting, kneeling in the dirt like it was church. But that year, it all felt empty. Then it hit me. Maybe the soil wasn't broken. Maybe it was tired. And maybe, so was I. We don't talk about that enough, do we? The fact that even soil, especially good soil, needs a break sometimes. Just like us, nature doesn't rush. It doesn't run nonstop. It rests. Fields are left fallow. Trees drop their leaves. Animals hibernate. So why did I expect my little garden, or my old bones, to push through without pause? That season, I did something radical. I stopped. I stopped forcing things to grow. I let the weeds have their moment. I covered the beds with mulch and leaves and walked away. I sat in the shade. I watched the birds. I let my hands heal. And over time, something happened. The next spring, the soil was richer. Worms returned. The smell came back. That deep, earthy scent that tells you life is waking up. And inside me, that same slow revival. A stirring, a softness, a readiness to grow again. Senior-friendly tip number 5. Let your soil and yourself rest. Here's how you can care for both. Rotate your crops. Don't grow the same thing in the same place every year. Let parts of your garden sit idle or grow cover crops like clover. Mulch and cover. Protect bare soil with leaves, straw, or cardboard. It holds moisture and feeds the microbes while you take a break. Rest your body. Sit in the garden instead of working it every day. Let the birds sing to you. Watch the light move across the leaves. Gardening isn't a race. And healing, for soil and soul, takes time. A message to anyone feeling worn out. If you're reading this and thinking, maybe it's time to stop, I want you to know, you're not failing. You're not finished. You just might need a season to rest. That doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means something is happening beneath the surface. Give your soil that gift. Give yourself that grace. Have you ever taken a break that helped you grow stronger? Share your story. Someone out there might need your encouragement today. The year I almost gave up ended up being the year I grew the most. Not in vegetables, but in wisdom, in patience, in peace. The soil, like me, just needed time. And when we both returned, we came back stronger than ever. What 30 years taught me. Lessons from a lifetime in the dirt and the heart. I've gardened through droughts and downpours. Planted too early, too late. And sometimes in soil so poor I could barely sink a spade. I've fought weeds, chased pests, watched crops fail, and felt my back give out halfway through digging a row. But I've also tasted tomatoes still warm from the sun, watched bees dance over blossoms, heard the quiet joy of earthworms wriggling just beneath the surface. And in all of that, in the struggle and the beauty, I've learned a few things worth sharing. You don't need perfect weather, perfect tools, or perfect soil. Let go of the idea that you have to get it all right to grow something beautiful. Life and gardening don't work that way. Sometimes your hose leaks. Sometimes your knees hurt. Sometimes your best effort still gives you a tiny harvest. But you know what? That tiny harvest still feeds you. Not just your belly, but your spirit. What you do need. You need patience. Nature doesn't rush, and neither should you. Seeds take time. Roots go deep before anything blooms above. Trust the quiet seasons. You need kindness. Kindness for your soil, your plants, but mostly for yourself. When things go wrong, don't blame. Learn. Smile. Try again tomorrow. You're not failing. You're growing. You need to believe. Believe that even broken ground can bloom again. I've seen soil go from dry dust to rich, living earth with just a little care. I've seen people do the same. Senior-friendly wrap-up tip. Gardening is about heart, not hustle. You don't need to keep up with the glossy pictures in magazines or the perfect rows you see online. If your garden brings you peace, beauty, or a single bowl of green beans, it's enough. Grow what you love. Use what you have. Rest when you're tired. Smile when the first sprout appears. It's a miracle every time. After 30 years, here's what I know for sure. The garden doesn't care how old you are. It doesn't care if your knees creak or your hands shake. It welcomes you, just as you are. And if you give it love, even just a little, it will give back more than you can imagine. So if you're thinking about quitting, don't. If you're just getting started, welcome. There's a place for you here, right in the dirt, right where life begins. What's the most surprising lesson your garden has taught you? Drop it in the comments. Your story might be the inspiration someone else needs today. If this gave you hope, even a little, tap that like button. Sometimes, all it takes is one small story to remind us we're not alone. Subscribe to the Evergreen Seniors, where we grow with grace, one season at a time. This isn't just about gardening, it's about healing, purpose, and the quiet power of getting your hands dirty. And if you've ever felt the joy, the struggle, or the surprise of tending soil, drop your story in the comments. Maybe your first tomato, maybe the year everything failed and you still showed up. Maybe the way the garden helped you heal from something words couldn't touch. Because your garden matters, your hands matter, and yes, your story matters. Let's build something together, not just better soil, but a better world for those who still believe in planting, in patience, and in people.